백두산 안창호.
I want you to be able to say that day that I did try to feed the hungry. I want you to be able to say that day.
What? Because he was March. Look, them up there. You see how they taking the people to jail? Why they taking them to jail? Because they want to.
We've come to see the power of almost past the way absolutely. I say to you, there's power in this night. I'm on my way.
Something needed to be corrected. There was a meeting at the Mount Zion AME Church. Martin Luther King was selected as the spokesman. I was selected as the lawyer. Martin Luther King was 26. I was 24 years old. You had all types of retaliation, a great deal of violence.
I don't think the white man has done so bad by them, but yet they say that we have treated them awful.
As a counselor, I started attending some non-violent workshops. I tried to learn more about Dr. King. As a career. And people around the world. People can stand what they saw in Birmingham.
Live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
Now, storekeeper.
The old Negro spirit, though. Free at last, free at last, thanks for the land. We are free at last.
Speech.
They walk out. And it's not right. They have schools just as good as ours.
That's just like white people and niggers. I mean, white people naturally don't like white people better than niggers.
As human beings, we cannot live in our country.
Things about her. She was born in Marion, Alabama in 1927. She was a tomboy growing up. My grandmother met my grandfather in Boston. Her first thought was, he's such a little man. In the summer of 1953, they were married. They spent their wedding night in a funeral parlor, because blacks were allowed to stay in a hotel. 3 years to make it happen. The King Center opened to the public in 1980. Oh.
마지막 연설이에요. 여긴 간디 기념관이야.